Hello, Jesse Good here. Today I'm reviewing the LEGO Batman movie Killer Croc Tail-Gator set, which has 460 pieces, 4 minifigures, and retails for $70 in the United States. Now let's take a look at those minifigures. So here is Killer Croc, and it's weird getting a second Killer Croc big fig in the span of half a year. But I guess it is weird that we're getting 2 on-screen appearances of Killer Croc in Suicide Squad and LEGO Batman movie, so it makes sense. Either way, you got this middle section right here, which this is actually a new thing for a big fig from my understanding, because I'd never seen this where you could actually move this whole middle section down, and if you want, you could push it back up. Of course, this head right here is actually a little homage to the original LEGO crocodile / alligator pieces, where they had this top kind of head right here, which you could chomp open and close. I like that. That's actually a separate piece that you kind of have to snap on. And for the arms right here, these are actually the same moldings that they used for the Rancor in the LEGO Star Wars line, which, if you're wondering how these compare in size, the Rancor is much bigger, which means the hands look oversized, which is a little bit distracting. But I still like their decision to use the Rancor hands, because each of these little middle fingers can be moved up and down individually, because they are actually separate pieces, which you can see kind of clip onto these bars in the middle, molded onto the hands. And on the side, you can see there are these little shackle molds. It's actually just a little part with a stud right there, so you could attach these miniature chains, and it gives it a very kind of prisoner-esque look. And one last part about him that I really do like is the pants, which have this nice kind of band molded onto them, and you have his tail popping out. And that gives the character a lot of flavor, and he just looks really cool and unique to me. And that is it for the Killer Croc Big Fig. And we spent a lot of time on him, and now let's go on to other minifigures of the set. Here is Tarantula, and this is probably my second favorite figure of the set besides Killer Croc. I love that hair piece. That's probably my favorite part of her. This hair piece, which is the waitress's hair from Series 11, which they used once and then they didn't use again. It's great to see it back in a new color, and that black color is extremely useful. Also got some nice kind of side arm printing, and if you're wondering, this orange is actually an orangish yellow, which I wish LEGO would just use regular yellow. It looks a lot better. But either way, she also has 2 sides as weapons, as well as an alternate face, which you can kind of see once you swap the hair around, and you can see it peeking out right there where she looks kind of angry. Here is Zebra Man, another very obscure figure, and a very nice looking one. I like the stripes all over. Those are some really cool print jobs. There's even printing on the back of his head, even though, you know, it's not a double-sided face. There's some nice lines right there, and his black mohawk is a pretty rare color for the mohawk piece. In general, I mean, the mohawk piece is pretty rare. There's also some nice kind of side leg printing, which even has a little bit of some pants going on up top there. So that is really cool, and overall a very nice looking minifigure. So here is the Batman of the set. This one is actually the same one in that Balloon Escape set, which I said was pretty rare, and that's because, you know, it only comes in this set and the Balloon Escape set, as far as I can tell, unless it's like an Arkham or the Scuttler. And you can see the face on this side actually uses a white band up top, but the face on this side uses a black band, which is pretty interesting. There's also the utility belt, which is a new piece that attaches at the hips, as well as the newer style capes, which are a nice felt. I prefer these over the older ones. And you got some nice kind of printing on the back of his torso. So here are the builds of the set. You got the Tailgator and Batman's little boat. And here's the Tailgator. It's a really cramped up set, and it is ridiculously sized, but it's not like bad in the sense of like the Batmobile. You could see how high off the ground it is. It also has a suspension feature, and the size kind of accommodates the size of Killer Croc, so I do not mind that whatsoever. There's lots of sticker details and printed details alike, which really give the set a very kind of a rugged feel that I think they were kind of going with this little tow truck. Now, the part that fits Killer Croc is really the main part of the vehicle, and it's this back kind of area. And he fits on a few studs, which you can see are made up of some plates down there. That works well, but it doesn't work perfectly, because when you want to reattach him, a lot of the parts on the side, which are actually play features that are meant to blow off, kind of fall off, and that you really can't blame them for, because there's really no other way to do it. It's good that it didn't fall off this time, but usually these kind of fly off. And the play feature with those is you twist these, and they drop down. That works pretty well, and each of them have some nice details on them. For example, this one right here has a warning gator sign, which I love that. That's going to be really useful, even though it is a sticker and I kind of put it off center and it's annoying me right now seeing it through here. And you can see there's 2 frogs, which are very nice because I remember once the frog piece was really rare to get. Like around 2007, I never got a frog piece before. Now I get so many of them, but it's still cool. And then there's also this one right here, which actually hides a stick of dynamite. And you guys can see has a 1x3 printed tile. Now you get a lot of those in the set of the wooden plank print, and that's going to be very useful for different mocks. And you could just reattach the plates on just like that. There's more of those 1x3 plank pieces, and even a keep out stickered sign, as well as a little attachment on the side, kind of cell doors, which is kind of interesting that they use the cell doors, but they make for some good kind of guardrails right here. And they have a little kind of algae attached to there, which is a seaweed piece. On the back, there's a sticker that says Florida, which means that this whole thing is from Florida. There's also another Florida reference. And of course, Florida has a lot of gators, so it makes sense. And on the side right here, you got more of those printed 1x3 kind of wooden plank tiles, as well as a pickaxe and a bone. And on the sides right here, you can see there's a 1x6 printed tile with the same plank design, and that's also found on the back right here. And the whole kind of suspension part, you could see leaking through the bottom, and we'll show more detail on that later. There's some more stickers like this kind of mud on the side doors and claw marks at the front, as well as detailing on the top that says Florida bite me, or sorry, me bite, and some kind of I guess dirt on there, and that's a stickered piece. Now I don't like the actual front kind of headlights here because they kind of made it so that one of them is destroyed, but it just it looks weird to me. I don't know. It looks very incomplete with just one of them right there. And I know that's kind of the whole point of this, where it shows that, okay, one of them's all ruined and everything, but it looks ugly. And I know this is supposed to look wacky and messy, but it just doesn't look good in my opinion. And I'll probably make another one of these and just place on here to make it look more complete. Now this front part right here actually uses a cow skull, I guess you could say. And those are pieces that aren't too common. I mean, they use them in the Lone Ranger line, and you can see they have the little horns on there and everything. And there's also a sticker on the front kind of hood, just to show some more claw marks. And some more stickers on the side, even this one, which is stickered on kind of a little sloped piece in brown, while the other side had one in red, so just a little bit more diversity there on pieces. And you also have a 1x6 plank. So that's it for all the detailings around the vehicle. Now let's take a look inside this part. So the inside vehicle kind of links to the next part I wanted to cover of the vehicle, which is the steering wheel. You may be like, where's the steering wheel? It is right there under Killer Croc. That is hilarious. And how it works out is they're implying that Killer Croc controls the vehicle, or maybe a minifigure under Killer Croc controls the vehicle from the back with that big steering wheel right there, and the use of this 8-bowl stick shift, which is one of my favorite parts of the set, which is useful that he has the rancor claws because you could kind of just make him hold that over. And with that 8-bowl stick shift, it's actually on a ball joint, which is very useful, so you could kind of mix it around if you'd like, and it has a lot of rotation. And of course, that is a printed 8-ball piece, which will be very useful for city builders. And with this top detail with Killer Croc removed, there's just some more pieces like this 2x3 tile, which I didn't cover earlier, 2 little kind of exhaust pipes. And inside the vehicle, I kind of wish there was a little bit more room for minifigures to stay, because it's hard to get Zebra Man or Tarantula to sit down inside there. But there's really not much detail inside there that you're missing out on. There's no prints or anything like that, because really all the kind of controlled parts are leaking out to the back kind of door. I love how that comes out. And lastly, I said I'd touch on the suspension feature. So you just kind of push down on here, and you can see there's a little bit of suspension going on. That is pretty neat, and it bounces right back up. And how that works is on the bottom there's some little rubber bands, and they use these big wheels. I like how these came out. And that's really it. So that is it for the whole Killer Croc Tail-Gator vehicle. Now let's go on to Batman's vehicle and then the final verdict. So here's Batman's boat, which is very hard to balance because of these 2 pieces on the bottom, but that's all right. It's kind of meant to be, look like it's floating in water or whatever. And the actual design of it uses some stickered pieces. So you got one on the front right there with the bat signal, and you have a control panel print. And the whole thing actually has Batman standing up, because what they use are these 1x2 jumper pieces, which is quite interesting. I thought they would have him sitting down, but that's all right. It also holds a little battering right there, and there are these 2 little kind of wings on the back, as well as some stickers right there. And you can see they use one of those ball joint pieces to kind of simulate an exhaust or whatever. And the sides also have these little stud shooters, which you know how those work, where you just kind of push it down and it shoots out the stud, and that's also present on the other side of the vehicle. So that is it for the build of this set. Now let's go into the final verdict. Did I say final verdict? I meant the box and the back of the box, which is unfortunately pretty damaged. Oh, and the instructions, which one of them is more papery than the other one, which is kind of like a smooth design. I don't know what's going on there. There's nothing really interesting in terms of advertisements on the back that we haven't seen before, except this one has a city one. See the stuff right there. As well as some more kind of advertisements right there. So overall, this set is disgusting, dirty, and messy, and I love that about it because it kind of gives a tribute to that redneck mudding culture. Me being in Florida, I know a lot of people like that, and that's awesome, and I think they'll love this set. Heck, I've even gone mudding before. I did it in the Everglades once, but that's another story for another time. And this really gives a tribute to that, and I like that because it gives it a very unique flair to it. It gives the set character, and that's something that will make it stand out from other sets. The 4 minifigures in this set are great. This Big Fig Killer Croc looks fantastic. I think it's the best Big Fig Killer Croc yet. No offense to the one in the summer. And the actual design with the pieces are some great pieces because you get that nice 8-ball piece, those nice plank pieces. So those are really cool, as well as some 2x3 tiles, which are pretty new. Now, what I don't like about this set is a few things. First off, when you put Killer Croc on here, it's hard not to break stuff off. I just wish there was an easier way to put Killer Croc. The second thing I don't like is the price. And it's not because of the minifigures, because I think the amount of minifigures is perfect for this set, because it already feels crammed enough, because I'm kind of having a hard time finding a place for one of the two of these figures. But it's the size. The size of the vehicle just doesn't feel like a $70 set. It feels like a $50 set to me. It doesn't feel like the value's on par there. But that's really it for the problems. I mean, yeah, it is messy, but I do like that design because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be messy. So overall, I'll give this set a B. I wish the price was lower by like $20. I wish there was an easier way to put Killer Croc without parts flying off. But still, I think it's a unique enough design that will attract buyers. And there are enough pieces that will attract people who don't really look for, unique builds. But there's some, nice pieces included, like the 8-ball piece and such. So that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.